everybody, welcome back to another episode of the 13 Rings podcast. I'm your host, Lucas, with my co-hosts, Mal, Earl, and Maurice. Guys, we are more than halfway through the season. It's week 12, and you know what? It's the home stretch now, and there's a lot of things to talk about. So first, Earl, we got to talk about the Commanders versus the Cowboys, right?
We could, but I feel like calling an audible on this one.
Calling an audible? What do you mean?
Yeah,
What do you mean?
reverse it up, mix it up.
Okay,
shake it up.
I'm game. What are we doing?
You know what? Let's talk about the Eagles.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
Okay. So before we go forward, let's just make the rules of this audible. We'll do the Eagles game first, followed by Commanders, and then we'll finish up with the Giants. Okay?
Cool.
Sound
Cool
good,
with me.
Earl? Okay, so Earl, why did you
Sounds
want to,
good.
before Maurice takes the Eagles, why did you want to do this audible?
I feel like this situation, I'm going to give credit where it's due. I'm not too much of a fan of the Eagles, but I will say they know how to capitalize on opportunity and they find ways to win the game. I love to hear what Maurice want to talk about this game.
Okay.
All right.
So Maurice, I guess go ahead because I feel like Earl has some things pent up because he wouldn't do this unless he really wanted to talk about it because you know how much he loves the Cowboys. So you go ahead, take it away first, Maurice, and then I'm going to let Earl jump in because I got a feeling deep down in my soul that Earl has something important he wants to say.
All right. Let's talk about the Philadelphia Eagles. Best team in NFL, 10-1. 10-1.
Okay.
Must be nice.
You know, the poll said it too, so yeah.
Yeah. We should be number one, right? But let's talk about the Eagles for a minute. Eagles beat the Buffalo Bills in an overtime thriller, if you will, 37-34. This was, I would say, and I used the word last week, resilient. I would just say at this point it's championship DNA. I don't know what would you call it, but somehow, some way, this team finds a way to beat the good teams, and they just not find a way to beat any team. They're beating the good teams. They've beaten the Dallas Cowboys, beaten the Kansas City Chiefs, beaten the Buffalo Bills. Now the Buffalo Bills were 6-5 going into this game, but still a really talented football team. So yeah, they won the game 3 points in overtime. Jalen Hurts didn't have statistically the greatest game. He did have 5 touchdowns, but he only passed for 200 yards. But he rushed for 65, so he had a total altogether of 265 yards. 2 touchdowns rushing, 3 touchdowns passing. He had 1 interception. The QBR kind of tells the tale of what he did passing throughout the entire game. 54 QBR with a rating of 96. But I would say the second half of the football game really showed you Jalen Hurts truly is an MVP caliber player. And
so hang on, Maurice. Hang on. Are you saying that not A.J. Brown, but Jalen Hurts should be the Eagles front runner for MVP?
Okay.
Comment later.
Go ahead, Mal.
No, I was just saying Jalen Hurts is him. I'll elaborate later when Maurice is done.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Maurice.
Yeah, it's and I think I said this before. It's really hard for a receiver to get MVP because you're relying on other things to make you great, which is a quarterback. So, AJ Brown only had 5 catches for 37 yards. He did have a touchdown, but I would say easily Devontae was the more impactful receiver. 7 catches for 106 yards and a touchdown. It's really hard for AJ or any receiver to put up an MVP caliber season throughout the entire season. Real quick, like I was saying, Jalen Hurts had 5 touchdowns. He was by far the difference maker in this game. With that said, I have to give a shout out to Jake Elliott, our kicker, because he made one of the most.
He's won at least 3 games for you guys this year, right?
Next to Tucker, Elliott might be the second best kicker in NFL right now.
Listen, I'll say this, and I am a huge Justin Tucker enthusiast. That is my boy. But Jake Elliott is freaking clutch.
He made a 54-yard field goal, not just any regular 54-yard field goal. That was in rainy, windy conditions. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think people understand how tough of a kick that is. With the game on the line, he misses, he loses.
Because my dad was sitting with me at that time, and he's a humongous Giants fan. And he was like, this is really a tough one. I'm like, no, Elliott's going to make this. I'm like, don't worry. Elliott's going to make this. And what did Elliott do? He made it.
Yeah, he made it.
You haven't seen very many clutch kickers as clutch as he is. Like I said, I think he's won you guys at least 3 games this year.
I would agree. I would agree. By far, I think he would be the All-Pro kicker for the NFC. He has to be. He has to be. But anyway, yeah, this was a good victory. The defense didn't really do much. They held their ground. They only had 1 sack. They had 1 interception. James Bradbury picked off Josh Allen 1 time for the interception. I mean, the defense is holding on by a toothpick right now because our secondary is not really good. I mean, it's more so scheme than talent at this point. We're just letting too much go in the passing games, and it's killing us, at least in the first half of football games. Offensively, our play calling is still a little sketch. That would be the worst. That would be the bad thing that happened in this game. The play calling is just not up to par, not up to what we remember the Eagles' offense to be at least last season. So, with that said, what we're right, Jalen Hurts, he's the player of the game. He's absolutely an MVP, top 3 MVP candidate right now. Special shout out to Jake Elliott once again. The defense needs to step up. The offense needs to play a little bit better. But with that, I'll leave it up to you guys. What you guys got to say?
I mean, I'll just say this real quick because I know Earl's probably chomping at the bit. You guys almost lost that game because of a penalty by the offensive line.
All right, so let me get this. Let me talk about this for a second because I think that's what Earl was going to talk about. Let me address this. Let me address this.
I'm ready.
And I see people talk about this all the time on social media. The Eagles were bailed out. The Eagles got all the calls. Listen, the game is you play the game on the field. The officiating should not go either way. Yes, the Eagles got 1 or 2 good calls. The horse collar on Reddit, that should have been called.
I'm glad you pointed that out, Maury.
I'm glad you pointed that out.
All right, I'm an Eagles fan. I am a homer, but I'm also a realist.
I respect it.
Okay, so the horse collar one should have been called. But the AJ Brown fumble, that wasn't a fumble. It wasn't a catch. Do you agree on that?
It wasn't a fumble. You got to have at least 3 steps on that.
And I'm shocked that the Ravens called that same play a fumble literally on Monday. But that doesn't have anything to do with that. I just think it's wild how the officiating changed. And I don't think that Ravens fumble should have been a fumble. But that's not relevant. Continue.
So you're saying they got it right with the Eagles, but they got it wrong with the Ravens.
Got it right with the Eagles, got it wrong with the Ravens. It worked out for the Ravens. Great. Yeah. But I think that it was right with the Eagles.
I can see 2 calls that went the Eagles' favor. That one, the horse collar, and the Slay pass interference. Those were the 2 that I think were egregious non-calls. Now, if it went the other way, would I be complaining? Maybe, probably so. I would be complaining about it. But at the end of the day, the players win the game on the field. And Jalen Hurts had the ball in overtime. He went down the field. He rushed in for the touchdown, 15-yard rush to win the game in overtime. A win is a win.
I mean, a win is a win, but I have a sneaky suspicion you beat Earl to the punch.
Actually, no, Lucas. He actually didn't beat me to the point.
Ooh.
My situation is you thought it was going to dealing with the refs. He acknowledged that. I respect that.
Mhm.
My situation is I consider the Eagles right now ultimate opportunists because they're capitalizing on teams' mistakes. They handle business. They find ways to win the game, and that's what you're supposed to do as a team.
Yeah.
They're doing that. So I give credit to where it's due. They know how to win the game. They find ways to win the game.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, I was about to, yeah, that's a good way to I'm sorry, Mal. Go ahead. You
Oh,
go
it's
first.
okay. I was just gonna say the Eagles do this thing where it's not pretty all the time. I don't think it's been pretty any time this year, actually. Like, and Maurice, you can correct me if it has been, but it's never been pretty. But they do it. They just do it, and that's how you win football games, truly. And what I wanted to say about Jalen Hurts is that before this year, I wasn't so totally sold on Jalen Hurts. I thought that he was kind of carried by like his super team last year,
Ooh.
but I will say this year Jalen Hurts has proved to me that he's the real deal and he's a winner. And being a winner is really what it's all about. And doesn't matter how it's done, doesn't matter what it is. Watching him on that sideline when Jake Elliott tied the game for them and he was so unsatisfied, it resonated with me so much because me as a person, I'm never happy if I don't win immediately. And Jalen Hurts is literally me. You never want to give too much. You never want to ever feel like you gave up the game, and he felt he did. And I would love to have Jalen Hurts as a quarterback. I would.
Well, to be fair, I think you would like most people than what you currently have as your quarterback.
Oh,
But
come on,
not,
Lucas.
no, I'm
Come
sorry.
on.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Honestly,
But in all
Hey.
seriousness, I think most of us would be happy to have Jalen Hurts. And I'll just say this about the Eagles. The Eagles, to me, aren't ESPN brought up this analogy of boxing, and I think it's pretty good. They're not they're not going to beat you by knocking you out. They're going to win by decision. And honestly, I think that might be better for them when it comes to the playoff time because if you can win all these close games now during the regular season, your team knows how to react and knows what to do when the playoffs come around because you're not going to be able to blow out every single person during the regular season. I mean, during the playoffs, it's just not going to happen. So I think the Eagles are clearly not intentionally, but unintentionally building up their fortitude for the playoffs, which I think is good for them.
this weekend is the biggest preview we'll get for the playoffs.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
We'll get to that.
yeah. So actually, before Earl threw us the audible, I totally got knocked off track because usually at the beginning of our podcast, we do review our preseason predictions. So going back to week 12, we all had the Commanders losing, and that is exactly what happened. Which means that that we all have the Cowboys winning, which is exactly what happened. For the Giants, we had them winning, and it happened.
Hey, Tommy Cutler.
All of us?
All of us.
All of us got it right.
Yeah. And then for Philly, we had them all winning. Though I will say, I think at first I had Philly losing, but I think I got swayed. I don't remember exactly how, but I swayed my decision. That being said, let's get to the main event. Turkey Day, gobble gobble, game against the Commanders and Cowboys. Gosh, Lou. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I feel a little bit of the fun of the rivalry got lost when the Commanders had the name change. But because before then, you always, when you were kids, I'm sure you guys, maybe, I don't know if we still played Cowboys or Indians, but I know our parents did growing up. And I don't know. It feels like when we changed the name to Commanders, it kind of lost a little bit of the flair of the rivalry. And it was close for the beginning. But I'm going to let Earl talk about this first because I don't have much to say about this game. So,
All
Earl,
right.
you go ahead first.
Will do. Yeah, the Cowboys played the Commanders on Thanksgiving. Gobble gobble, Lucas.
Gobble gobble.
Dallas punished the Commanders 45-10.
Why did you guys say it
And
like that?
well, you do remember
Yeah.
the shot I gave you.
I know the
So,
rules. I know the rules.
yep. All I could tell you, Lucas, as long as they're in Washington, it remains a rivalry. No
I
matter the
know.
nickname, it's forever a rivalry. It's when I think of Washington, can't stand them jokers.
I know.
That's a rivalry. And in the division, we have the rivalry. And I believe the Giants and the Eagles have the other rivalry.
Yeah.
The one thing with the game that I noticed is that we have a tendency to start off slow, but then as the game goes along, we pick it up. And by the time of the third, fourth quarter, we just we just we just punish. And I saw that on Thanksgiving, in which I saw the offense kind of start off a little sluggish and they got their way. And I really noticed that in the game, Washington owned us in the TOP selection. Their time of possession was 35 minutes and 39 seconds to our 23 and 6 seconds. So Washington controlled the ball more, but Dallas was more efficient with the time that they had and executed and got the touchdowns. Dak Prescott, he balled out. He had 22 completions for 331 yards, 4 TDs. He had a clean game. He really didn't get pressured much. Sonny Pollard running the ball. He had 13 carries for 79 yards and 1 touchdown. He was averaging 6 yards a clip. Rico Dowdle, he didn't have much yard. He didn't have much carries. He only had 3 for 11, 4 yards a clip. Dak Prescott ran it once, 10 yards. So average around 10 yards a clip. The overall thing with the receivers, he's spreading the ball, he's spreading the wealth, and getting Brandon Cooks involved, getting CD Lamb involved, get Jake Ferguson involved. It's starting to show. And he's really doing a great job of taking command of the offense. And that's what I've been waiting. That's what I've been waiting for Mike McCarthy to let him do. Release the handcuffs, let him go out there and do his thing. In the last 5 to 6 games, he's been doing that thing. And for me, that should be in the MVP conversation. And overall, I think with him continuing to take command, he's playing the position of quarterback on how you're supposed to play it. Salute to him. I'm going to shift to what went wrong. Not much went wrong, but I'm definitely seeing a situation where the linebacker room is small. I'm seeing more, they're very athletic, but I really would like to have that premier linebacker that's a little bigger, that can endure the punches and to be able to execute. The linebackers we have, Marquise Bell, Damone Clark, they had a really good game. They really showed up. But I'm starting to see things with Damone Clark that embodies LVE and need to get that out the way. It seems like he's afraid to hit the gaps and stuff. And as a linebacker, you're supposed to see hole, hit hole, make him pay. Pause. And overall, not doing that as much. I just need to see more efficiency in doing that, hitting the gaps and making them pay. Part that went right, Dak Prescott and the offense, Mike McCarthy, Deron Bland. I can't say how much seeing the progression of my team, especially with the depth. We got unique depth on this team and just giving the guys a chance to play. Never would I thought Deron Bland was going to start the season and almost to the end of the season break a record that was 30 years old. In 1993, Philadelphia Eagles corner Eric Allen had the record at 4. Deron Bland broke that. And the more that I'm seeing him, when he broke it, I was jumping with joy. I was excited. But I knew that there was more to his game that he has to work on. I'm seeing a lot of fans say, hey, he could travel with the best receivers. Not yet. I need to see more from him because in the game, he was getting lit up a bit by Curtis Samuel. But when he saw the ball, he got the ball, took it for 6. Kudos to him. My player of the game for the Cowboys, Dak Prescott. He earned it. And this team is balling. And one thing I need them to do, continue the momentum and finish the fight. Your turn, Lucas.
Look, this game caused us to go last in the division because while we have the same record as the Giants, we have no divisional wins and they have 2 against us.
You guys also gave up.
We did. The team gave up.
I've seen that before.
And, another result of this is that the following day, Jack Del Rio and our DB's coach got fired. Ron Rivera is going to be taking over.
Somebody was going to get fired.
Yeah, not the people I want to. Look, this should have happened. If they were going to try to do a half measure like this should have happened week 3, week 4. Not week 12. It should have happened a lot sooner. The Commanders are, I think the team is, they might, look, everybody likes Ron Rivera as a person. But as a coach, it felt to me as if they were tuning him out. I think that he's lost the locker room. And if you know anything about the new owner, Josh Harris, you know that he does not like making in-season changes at the head coaching position. I think it's a big deal that he made an in-season change at the assistant coaching position. And, that was more Ron Rivera, suggesting it. I think Ron Rivera was just trying to add blame. And you know what? Maybe Ron Rivera can get our defense from being at the bottom of the barrel here in the NFL. But look at the bottom line here. Is that the defense is horrendous, especially the secondary. The defensive line, they can get sacks. Cool. They can stop the run at an okay rate. But the issue isn't that. The issue is the secondary. The secondary, I haven't seen a team secondary this bad in a very long time. And it's not even like we have bad players. I don't think they were properly coached up. I was looking, I saw somewhere on Twitter, the DB's coach, and I think his name was Brent Visselmeyer or something like that. If he's not working for Jack Del Rio, most of the time he's coaching high school. Like I looked, somebody pulled up his Wikipedia page. There's more high school entries than college or NFL. So that's not a good sign. That should have been a red flag. I didn't even realize that as a fan. That's on me. But it's not like we have bad players. I still believe Emmanuel Forbes has some talent there. I think he just needs to be coached up properly. Kendall Fuller, we know he's a solid corner. He won a Super Bowl with the Chiefs. St. Juice, he's young, but he has shown a lot of promise as a cover corner. Cameron Curl, we know he's good. Jamin Davis, he's solid. David Mayo, he got like 2 sacks against the Giants last week. Not last week, I mean the week before. So, we know that this guy's solid. But the players are solid, but the coaching isn't there. And then offensively, and I think this will be a shock to you guys because I've championed this guy so much. I don't know. Not only do I'm kind of hesitant about bringing Eric Bieniemy as the head coach. I don't even know if I want to bring him back as the offense coordinator next year.
Ooh, that's big.
No, I agree.
Because here's the thing. Let's look at the gameplay here. The Commanders ran the ball a total of 27 times, but really only 21 because 25 times because Sam Howell ran 2 of them, right? The team passed the ball 44 times. Sam Howell should not be throwing the ball more than 40 times in a single game. Now, let's be clear. Sam Howell has looked great, but the sacks numbers are high. The interception numbers, I think he leads the NFL in interceptions right now, or if he's not there, he's near the top. So he's trying, and Earl, me and Earl have talked on the phone countless times about this. And Earl, I'm going to steal your thunder here for a second here because you said it first. Eric Bieniemy is trying to coach Sam Howell like he's Patrick Mahomes, and that doesn't work. Sam Howell is not Patrick Mahomes. Now, Sam Howell I think, is a good quarterback, but you can't have him throw the ball like that. Especially with this offensive line. look, the running attack is solid. Brian Robinson is like, I want to say like, in the upper tier in terms of yards in the NFL, like total rushing yards. Like, he's not bad. Brian Robinson, like, you should be running the ball a lot more with this team. And I get that you have to pass a lot to make up for the defense's mistakes, whatever. But we can't do that. We can't do that. That's not good for Sam Howell. It's not. And, there's been rumblings multiple times now, after Del Rio was fired. So after Del Rio was fired, there was talks about why wasn't Ron Rivera fired? Why didn't they just bring Bieniemy on to the head coach? There were rumblings on Twitter. I don't know how valid they are, but there were concerns among players in the locker room about having Bieniemy as the head coach, which is a big red flag for me, because if not all the players are behind, then we have a problem here. So I don't think Bieniemy's safe anymore, guys. I think he's just as because if he had a chance at this head coaching job, he would have gotten it last week when they fired Del Rio. They would have also fired Ron Rivera. So that's what I think is the big red flag here for Bieniemy. And while I don't like the idea of Sam Howell having a third offensive coordinator in his third season, I'm not liking what I'm seeing from Bieniemy. A little bit too pass happy, not doing a good enough job. Sam Howell got sacked in this game 4 times for 32 yards. Like, that's ridiculous. So I can't believe I'm saying this. And here's the deal. I think we might be able to squeeze out 2 more games in terms of victories, but what good does that really do us? What good does that do us, guys? And as you guys know, I'm a basketball person first here.
No.
And in the NBA,
it doesn't do you any good.
It doesn't do us any good. And in the NBA, you get better lottery chances if you have a worse record.
Yeah.
Now in the NFL for the draft, NBA draft. But the NFL does not have a lottery record. But if you have the worst record, the most you get the worst record you have, the higher lottery pick the higher draft pick you get in the first round.
Yeah.
So I can't believe I'm saying this. And it seems appropriate that I coined this phrase based off of what the Commander slogan is, plus a little bit of, Josh Harris's other pro team, the Philadelphia 76ers, used when they went through their purposeful rebuild. I'm going to say
it with them now.
Hail to the process. Allow the process to begin. Now, the thing is, we're not even really trying to tank, because guess what, guys? We've lost what? Like, I think it's 4 straight games, 4 or 3 straight games. Like, guys, it's ridiculous at this point. Hang on, I'll check the exact number here of how many games we lost straight. We have lost our last 3 games. We have lost.
Last win y'all had was against New England.
Yeah, New England. But we've lost ever since winning our first 2 games of the season. We've gone 2-8. We've gone 2-8 since the beginning of the season, when we went 2-0. That's a team, in my opinion, because the wins were, they were against the Cardinals and then the Broncos. We won against the Falcons, and then we won against the Patriots. Guys, those are all bottom of the barrel teams. We are a bottom of the barrel team. We just got lucky at the beginning of our schedule. And now maybe we should have beaten the Bears. We should have. We didn't. Talent-wise, we should have beaten the Giants. We didn't, because they're demons for us right now. I don't get that, but whatever. And we had a chance to beat the Seahawks, but you know what? Last-second field goal. I'm not going to be mad about that. But I say all this to say this. Hail to the process. Let's get a high lottery pick. And what I'm doing now, and I've already started talking with the guys here off audio about this, about different draft options that we have. But I'm going to be doing some deep dives in the draft this year. I'm going to be looking at like Marvin Harrison Jr. or Jake Bowers. Is it Jake Bowers? It's Jake Bowers, right?
Brock Bowers.
Brock Bowers. Thank you. Brock Bowers, or offensive lineman, whoever that might be. Or I might be even looking at Kool-Aid McKinney, or whatever his name is.
I love Kool-Aid. I want him to be a Giant so bad. I want that jersey.
It is kind of man. His name sounds like a Key and Peele skit. It really does.
JaQuincy is his real name.
My statement still stands.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but no, you know what? I'm looking at it, right? So I'm just saying that's where I'm at for the rest of the season because, in my opinion, I don't see the team getting better. They're only going to get worse. And hail to the process. That's all I'm going to say. I'm actually going to tweet it out right now. I'm going to tweet it out live during the podcast.
Hail to the process.
Hail to the process.
Right now,
AKA trust the process.
Right now, the Commanders have the 5th pick. The Giants have the 6th pick.
Ooh.
Who does one? I'm not gonna say the website's name, but the one website have you mock to draft Joe Alt, offensive tackle from Notre Dame.
That's my vote.
I actually like that pick. What you think, Lucas?
I'm all for an offensive lineman. Look, we need. I'll just say this. I want to save this more for off-season content. But the Commanders need offensive line help, secondary help, and if they want to get a tight end, they can. But I'm okay with Logan Thomas and the rest of the depth.
Okay.
I would say linebacker.
No, Jamin Davis and David, they're good second. You need a star linebacker. You're right. We could use a star linebacker, like somebody to anchor the defense. But I'm okay with those two guys as, starters. They're just not stars.
You know, the funny thing is, y'all picked up Jabril Cox, have not seen him once.
Yeah, that is a good. You know what? Let's, hail to the process and play Jabril Cox. Why not? I'm all for it. But, Ron Rivera won't.
Why not? It. Hey, real quick, before we move on to Mal, Lucas.
Yes.
Did you find a slight bit disrespectful that Dak Prescott was eating turkey legs before the game was over?
Look, I'll be honest with you guys. Towards the end of the game, I just started putting my Christmas tree up. That is when I started to hail to the process. Was during that game. I was just like,
jeez.
Look, I had the game on, but my Christmas tree was more important than the end of that game at that point. And look, I'm a hardcore Commanders fan. I love it. But you know what? It was a disrespectful, sure, but did the Commanders earn respect in that game? No, they did not.
Okay.
Reese, after Dak threw that touchdown to Turpin, I was like, someone get this man a chicken leg, a turkey leg. And then he pulled out a turkey leg out of the kettle. I was just like, yeah, he would. Before the game, he said he wanted that turkey leg. So it was planned.
You know what? I'm not a Commanders fan, but I am a fan of football. If they planned that out ahead of time and literally put food inside of the Salvation Army kettle ahead of time, so next time they scored, they can pull it out and eat it in front of you on national TV, I would find that disrespectful.
Just all I ask is that when it becomes week 17, that they remember that and give them the same upset we did last year. That's all I ask.
All right.
That's all I ask.
All right.
If that's how they're going to do us, then I want to upset them again. Don't think it will happen because, hail to the process, but
I don't think so.
But it'd be cool if it did.
All right.
All right. Mal.
They might bring out another turkey leg.
Earl.
It might be a ham this time. You never know.
Ham this time.
Christmas ham, sure. We'll see. And if not, we'll just have, it's going to be on our home field. We'll have ham waiting for us.
Yeah, it'll be a hog.
Who's your player of the game?
My player of the game in this game for the Commanders. Give me 1 second here, because I'll be honest, I wasn't impressed with a lot of people in this game, but I got to give it to Curtis Samuel. I'll give it to Curtis Samuel, and here's why. He had 9 receptions for 100 yards.
Yep.
But he really deserved it from last game. And if you don't remember last game, listeners, let me just remind you, he got ejected for getting into a scuffle after Sam Howell got thrown to the ground by a Giants player. So I think Sam Howell went out of his way to say thank you to Curtis Samuel and gave him a 100-yard game, which kind of concerns me because now we know Sam Howell can throw 100 yards to a single receiver, but he hasn't done it to Terry McLaurin, which why not? But,
They got to manage his pitch count. I don't think throwing over 40 is his pitch count. He's got to be somewhere in the 35 passing attempt and get the run game going.
Yeah, the run,
situation
like
I had with
Brian Robinson
the-
should be getting anywhere from 18 to 22 touches a game. That just has to
Right.
happen.
And I could see Bieniemy being on the hot seat because it made me wonder when he was in Kansas City, was he really designing these plays or was it Andy Reid?
Well, I think we got a
There was
better
reason,
idea.
because there's a reason why he didn't get a head coaching position.
You're not wrong. You're not. Look, Earl, you're
At
not
least
wrong.
consideration.
Look, like I said, if he was going to get the Commanders' head coaching job, he would have already gotten it. He would have already gotten it.
Yep.
It's as simple as that. But anyway, Mal, we got to talk about your Giants because I got some interesting takes here for you.
Mm.
But you go ahead. Talk about how you talk about the G-men. Talk about the Big Blue.
Yeah, enjoying them cutlets.
Is
Mama Vito was in the stands. She was happy doing the little Italian little handshake.
Alpha
What
Vito
about you?
and
He
Mama
literally
DeVito, I would
he
love to
literally-
have some of your cutlets. Give me some stuffed shells too.
he literally came out of the tunnel to the Sopranos theme song.
my
That's
king.
gangster.
You know what?
That's gangster.
And by the way, I want to mention this before Mal gets into this. I recently heard on NFL Network that Tommy DeVito got offered more money to go to the Commanders.
He
to
did.
be on. And I think similarly, he also got offered to go to New England. However, he wanted to stay in New York.
He
This is
won
New York, baby.
in Jersey.
In Jersey, yeah. He wanted to stay in the Giants in
Hey.
Jersey.
My Tommy Cutlets. He showed up again. Once again, the Italian stallion has pulled through.
Oh, hold up.
This man getting all the
Only
nicknames.
Stallone is the Italian stallion.
Well,
Tommy DeVito has to have a winning record first before I can consider that nickname.
he does. He's 2-1.
No, what do you mean? No, he's lost. No, hang on.
He's 2-1.
He won.
Then
They
we
won last week. They lost to Dallas when he first started, so he's on a 2-win.
No, he
Two-
he lost in the game that he filled it. Well, I guess he doesn't count that loss, does he?
He is 2-1. My Italian stallion. He is good to go.
You're Italian stallion.
My Italian stallion, yes. But no, we beat the Patriots 10-7 in a really ugly, rainy MetLife game. And honestly, it's hysterical. It's truly funny. The only thing that us Giants fans are doing are just having fun. Because we are so far out of it at this point. And the only thing that's happening is that we're ruining our draft position. But at the same time, can't complain.
I was about to say, didn't you want to lose every single game?
We did, but Tommy Cutlets, he don't want to lose anything. So he's out here doing his best. The defense is doing their best. The good things about this game were Tommy Cutlets and our defense. The bad things about this game were that we ruined our draft position. Player of the game, Tommy Cutlets. And that's really it. Mac Jones was so horrible. Bailey Zappi was so horrible. Bill Belichick literally cannot field a team. And
I think he's losing the team.
Truly.
Question: against the Raiders, did Daniel Jones started that game, right?
He did.
Okay,
did.
just
He got
wanted to
injured
make
in that
sure on
game,
that.
too.
ACL
Okay.
first quarter?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, he
Yeah, it
is
was-
2-1. My bad. So let me just. You're done, Mal. You said you were done.
Oh, yeah, I'm done. I said my piece.
Okay, so I said I was going to tweet out this stuff. I'm not going to lie. I came up with the graphic beforehand because I knew I was going to say hail to the process. But I also came out for a graphic for Mal before last week's game because I thought the Giants were going to be in tank mode. Now I'm not so sure.
But Tommy DeVito will not let us.
I was about to say, so
Cutlass won't
Mal,
let 'em.
here's let me ask you this. So his QBR is only 14 on the season, but essentially 15. But he has 600 yards, 7 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. Now, I will say this. He has been sacked 28 times. That is 2 times less than Daniel Jones did in his 6 games as the starter, which is pretty horrendous. That's more than Sam Howell combined.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty horrendous. That being said, is this an audition for Danny DeVito? Sorry, not Danny DeVito. Tommy DeVito.
Yeah.
Tommy DeVito for the job for the rest of the year. Because if he can go, because I looked at your record. I looked at the record. I looked at your schedule coming up. You have at least 2 more winnable games, maybe 3. Because I'm looking at the schedule. You guys play the Packers. They're floating around 500. The Saints, they're floating around 500. The Rams, they're floating around 500. The only games that you guys most likely will lose is both the Eagles games. So you guys could theoretically go with Tommy DeVito. What is he, 2-1 right now?
Yep.
You guys could go 5-3 with him theoretically. Because I look, the defense outside of the first 2 games this season, outside of the first 5 games this season, your defense and the Raiders for some reason, your defense has been pretty good. Pretty much every game that that Daniel Jones didn't start in, and I'm getting to Jones in a minute here. But
why do we not talk about him?
I want to. It's more of an indictment, okay?
Oh, all right.
But my point is that when you've had a competent quarterback, and yes, that was a shot. You guys' defense has been pretty darn good.
Yeah.
Pretty darn good, except for against the Cowboys. But the Cowboys, for some reason, have your number just like you guys have ours.
That's 2016.
So, if he goes 5-3 for the rest of the season, is he your quarterback next year?
No.
No, come on, Lucas.
I mean, look, the guy. What more do you want from him?
He's a 3rd-string quarterback.
Yeah, Lucas, we're just happy that we have our dude who's literally making us have a little fun right now. Otherwise, no. Tommy DeVito is not our quarterback next year, and if he is, I will not watch a single game.
I mean, what if he really impressed? I mean, he's put up solid stats.
No.
Okay.
You know who Tommy DeVito reminds me of?
Who?
The movie. We all remember the movie, The Rookie of the Year.
Yes. Yep.
That's Tommy DeVito.
Tommy, he has an electric personality, and he fits right in with our New Jersey and our New York people, and he does his thing, and he's so much fun to support. But I promise you, if we roll out Tommy DeVito next year, Giants fans will probably freak out.
Well, let me ask you this. Should you guys be tanking? I mean, should you guys, and your battle cry last year was we win our way. Should you guys be we tank our way for the rest of the season now?
I mean, listen, it sucks that we're not going to get the lowest draft pick because we could use it. But at the same time, I don't really think we need it.
Well, I don't think you need Caleb Williams. I think you just need a competent quarterback. Because, I mean...
Get him. We'll get him. Regardless of if it's number 1, number 2, number 6, number 10. The Giants, and I had this conversation with a lot of people, are in a position where they have top 3 in a lot of positions. We have the top 2, and he's probably not 2, nose tackle in the league. We have a great rookie cornerback. We have a great wide receiver who's developing very well. We just have to get competent quarterback play. We have a top 2 offensive tackle. And we have a very good developing center. There are a lot of teams who are worse off than us. The Giants have not played to their full potential. I think a lot of it had to do with injuries. And from this point on, if we get a competent quarterback, which I hope we do, I'm saying a prayer, I hope we do, because we really need it. That's really where, and a number one wide receiver, like truly, I think the Giants will take the next step.
I mean, look, it looked like last week that you had a number one wide receiver in Jalen Hyatt.
He will
Finally,
be there.
it took your third string quarterback to get him a good game.
Yeah, he's a little too quick for the guys we have on roster for quarterback. They can't keep up with him, which is insane to say because, like, Tyreek Hill is the best wide receiver in the league, and Tua can keep up with him. We need a quarterback to keep up with him.
Yeah.
And once he does, good night, all y'all.
By the way, I think Michael Penix is a good option for you guys at quarterback based off of where you guys will probably be drafting.
Yeah. I really like Jaden Daniels, but
I do too. I'm glad you brought him up.
yeah.
Because if the Commanders didn't have Sam Howell, that's who I'd want.
I want him really bad. And I think that when in the spot we are, we can get him. But we really need a quarterback.
Well,
and once the Giants get a quarterback, bye.
Well,
Guys, I'll beat you, Earl, for the first time in 6 years.
Wow.
The last time the Giants beat Dallas was in 2016.
Yeah.
When the start of 2017 happened, Dak Prescott has owned y'all. 11-2.
First time. And everybody said this year, oh, we're going to beat Dallas. I never thought that. Never thought that. But
no,
we get a quarterback. Promise.
The media is the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Because they put the Giants on a high pedestal.
Yeah.
And I think when Dallas shook them, it broke their spirit.
We got, I don't even want to talk about it. That was so horrible.
Well, let me just say this. Mal, you say you need a quarterback.
Yeah.
I have a suggestion because we've said plenty of time the Giants and the Commanders need offensive line help.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of wasting your first round pick on a quarterback, why not trade for one that may be on the move anyway? Hear me out. Because I mentioned this on Twitter.
Talk about Justin Fields because I really don't want him.
You really don't?
No, I really don't.
There goes my whole entire segue into that.
What would you want in a quarterback?
I want a quarterback that doesn't read the defense and like give them everything that they want. And that's what Daniel Jones does.
I would say address the offensive line, then you might be able to fill in that void. Because if you get a quarterback, he's going to be running for his life like Danny Dips. I would appreciate Tommy Cutlets right now because you're at least seeing what he can do with the situation with his line. Yeah, I would say address the offensive line.
My $40 million
and see what you got.
That cannot. And that's a problem. That's truly a problem.
If that is the case, you may have to look for running back because if they don't pay Saquon,
they need to pay Saquon.
They will.
They should.
If we don't, it's going to be a humongous problem.
It'd be front office malpractice if they don't.
Yeah.
It's malpractice.
Fantastic teammate. He's a fantastic running back. If Saquon is not re-signed, we're going to have a big problem. Huge.
Okay.
And we have plenty of candidates that it should literally not be a problem. That's all I'll say.
Alrighty.
We'll see. That being said, Mal, I think it's time for stats.
All right, let's move on to some stats. So I'm going to go with the Giants and the Commanders first because the Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys have some pretty good ones. All right, so Commanders first. Commanders are dead last in scoring defense, guys.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
20. I think it's around 29 points per game.
Yeah.
You're not going to ever win, no matter how good your quarterback. If your defense is giving up 29 points per game, and some of it's on turnovers.
Yep.
But come on, guys. You gotta do better than
struggling.
that. Struggling.
Yeah, and we'll talk about how much the Giants are struggling. So Tommy DeVito has 7 touchdowns after starting 2 games. He is tied with Jimmy G for the year and also has more touchdown passes than Zach Wilson.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
And Zach has started every week up until last week. So that's that. Now let's talk about the Eagles. So this was Jalen Hurts' 11th career game with multiple rushing touchdowns, breaking a tie with Cam Newton for the most such games by a quarterback in NFL history.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah, Hurts did the thing, literally. And we cannot forget to mention that Deshaun Jackson has retired, and he announced it recently, which is pretty crazy. I did not think he would be in the league this long, but he did the thing. And he has the most 60-plus yard touchdown in history, first with 26, and he has the most 50-plus yard touchdown in NFL history, number 2. He's second with 34.
You can never overthrow the ball with Deshaun Jackson on the field.
Never. Throw it up. Deshaun Jackson is there, and
He was a premier deep threat.
I really was glad that he was on our team when he was on our team too.
Mm-hmm.
The Michael Vick Deshaun Jackson combination was
nasty.
It went too fast. Went way too fast.
Yeah, and I wish Deshaun the best. He was incredible, and we will miss him in the NFL.
Salute.
Yep.
Salute.
Respect.
And let's move to the Dallas Cowboys. So, as all of you know, Deron Bland broke the single season pick 6 record with 5. Already has 5. We're not even done.
And I think
he's gonna get one more.
He probably gonna get one more.
Oh yeah.
The crazy thing is, Deion Sanders has 9 in his entire career. Bland has 5. I think he can break it.
Poor Deion having a rough season in Colorado though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Should we be calling Deron Payne primetime?
Not Deron Payne. That's my guy.
Bland.
Yeah.
Call him primetime for that one.
Nah, I'm gonna call him Blandism.
What about the Bland effect?
The Bland effect.
I like that too.
Yeah.
I can tell you with Deron Bland, he has more touchdowns than a few receivers. I'll name them. He has more touchdowns than DK Metcalf.
Ooh.
He has more touchdowns than DeAndre Hopkins.
Wow.
I think they're about tied. He has more than Austin Eckler.
Wow.
He has more than Saquon Barkley. I think they're tied. And Josh Jacobs. And Amon St. Brown. He's up there with Devontae Adams. He has more than Joe Mixon. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But the 5 that he has,
Deron
he's
Bland
up there with offensive guys.
Deron Bland is him. Let's talk about Dak. So, Dak is the first Cowboys quarterback to have 1,500 pass yards and 15 pass touchdowns in any 5-game span in team history. And then
Balling right now.
And then last week, the Cowboys were the 3rd most points on Thanksgiving in team history.
Gobble, gobble.
Gobble,
Yep.
gobble.
Yeah, they gobbled up the Commanders.
Yeah, they did.
And that's it for stats, guys.
All right, Earl. You know
4
what
minute
time
drill?
it is.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. 4-minute drill. 2 minutes is not enough. Hey, Mal, why don't you go through with the games on what you thought of the games as well as what happened?
Yeah, all right. So I'll start with Miami and the Jets. So Miami wins 34-13, and they had the Fail Mary, which was crazy.
That was wild.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
That was
It
insane.
really was.
Tua was 21 for 30, 243 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. He didn't have the best game. But Raheem Mostert really backed it up. He had 20 carries for 94 yards and 2 touchdowns. And unfortunately, Jalen Phillips had a season-ending injury that tore his Achilles, and it was really hard. And I watched it on Hard Knocks, and it was very emotional.
Yes, that's turf.
There's a him.
And if you guys have
Yeah,
not
first.
tuned to Hard Knocks, you should absolutely do it with the Miami Dolphins. It's a great show.
Hold up. Did they switch from the Jets to the Dolphins mid-season?
Yeah, no, Jets were training camp and Miami is in season.
Okay, see, I've never
Yeah.
watched Hard Knocks before this season, so I didn't really understand how that works.
I never did either, and I never watched the training camp with the Jets because I really can't stand Aaron Rodgers sometimes.
That's fair.
But I watched the in season with the Dolphins because I really like Mike McDaniel and it was really great. So all of you should tune into the Hard Knocks this season with them.
And speaking
I've
of
seen
Aaron
it.
Rodgers,
It's a good show.
speaking of Aaron Rodgers,
He's
trying to
back.
make a miraculous comeback from an Achilles injury, and
Man,
he's practicing this
21
week.
day practice window.
not with that offensive line. I wouldn't come back to that.
I agree.
Yeah, I
think
agree
he's a
too.
little dumb. He's a little dumb. But let's move on to New Orleans and Atlanta. So Falcons win 24-15. Desmond Ridder was 13 for 21, 168 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions. But Bijan was 16 carries for 91 yards and 1 TD. Bijan is really kind of the star of this Falcons team, so we'll give him the credit for that. And then next game I had was Carolina and Tennessee. Titans win 17-10. Bryce Young is really struggling as the number 1 pick. I feel really bad for him. I hope things turn around, but I don't think they will, especially after they just fired their head coach. Will Levis also is just doing what he has to do. 18 for 28, 185 yards, no touchdowns. Derrick Henry was the star of this show. 18 carries, 76 yards, 2 touchdowns. Titans win. We move.
Alrighty, I have the next slate of games. I have a couple of Thanksgiving games. The Green Bay Packers played the Detroit Lions, and they beat them 29-22. Jordan Love went for 22 for 32, 268 yards on 3 touchdowns. He's really shaping up on his own, and the defense, they're showing up. They won the last 2 games, and I think they're just improving because most of their starters are out, and they haven't gotten their starters yet to make a run. So they could be that dark horse team moving forward. The next game that I saw was the San Francisco 49ers against the Seattle Seahawks. Niners punished the Seahawks 31-13. Brock Purdy went 21 for 30. He had 209 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Christian McCaffrey was balling. He had 19 carries for 114 yards and 2 touchdowns. And the defense just swarmed the Seahawks. Not much I could say there. Straight dominance. And the next game I had was the Sunday night game, the Ravens and Chargers. And the Ravens defense, they rose to the occasion and they dominated the Chargers 20-10. All right, Lucas, go with your slate of games.
Yeah, I got 4 games that I got to cover this past week. So we're going to start out with the Buccaneers traveling against the Indianapolis Colts. Colts won this one 27-20. Jonathan Taylor had 91 yards for 2 touchdowns on 15 carries, and Michael Pittman Jr. had 10 receptions for 107 yards. Also want to point out that Mike Evans had 2 touchdowns for 70 yards. That was that game, and then we're going on to the Rams versus Cardinals. This is, I think, Kyler Murray's second game back, and he did okay. Like 256 yards, 27 of 45, 1 touchdown. The Cardinals weren't even close. Like I said, the Rams beat them 37-14. Matt Stafford had 4 touchdowns and 229 yards. But the big story here was Kieran Williams, the running back, had 16 carries for 143 yards.
That's some big numbers right there.
You want to hear the bigger number? Their backup running back, Royce Freeman, had 13 carries for 77 yards and a touchdown.
They had over 200 yards rushing together.
They had 228 yards between all their runners. So that's pretty impressive. Then we go to the Chiefs traveling to Las Vegas, where they beat the Raiders 31-17. Look, yeah, Aidan O'Connell probably isn't the answer at quarterback. Then you had Patrick Mahomes had 298 yards for 2 touchdowns. Isaiah Pacheco also had 2 touchdowns, 15 carries for 55 yards. Rashid Rice was the high man, 8 receptions for 109 yards. Travis Kelce, 91 yards on 8 catches. The Chiefs are still a top team in the AFC, but I don't have them as my top team anymore. Then we go to the last game here, Browns versus the Broncos. Broncos won 29-12. Dorian Thompson-Robinson went out with concussion. And now, former Ravens and Jets quarterback and Eagles quarterback, I believe, Joe Flacco, slated in to start next week. But besides that, Russell Wilson actually did not have an impressive game. Only had 134 yards, 1 touchdown. Honestly, there wasn't much to say here in terms of overall, except for the fact that the Broncos recovered 3 fumbles lost by the Browns. So just interesting there.
I think every game the Broncos has played this year has been ugly.
Yeah, but they're 6-5 now, so they have a chance. Browns, they're on their third string.
Improved from that 70 beatdown they took.
Yeah. The Russell Wilson starting to look like the game manager he was meant to be there. So good for them.
All right, Maurice, it's your turn.
All right, so it was a battle in the AFC North. The Steelers defeated the Bengals 16-10. Since the Steelers fired the offensive coordinator Matt Canada, the offense has really picked up.
Yeah, it has. Kenny Pickett's not looking like a bust anymore.
Yeah.
That's right. Kenny Pickett passed for 200. Yeah, he passed for 278 yards, and Najee Harris ran for 99 yards and a touchdown.
He's not looking like a bust either anymore.
Now the offense looks much better.
And they got their tight end Freiermuth going too. He had over 100 yards.
Exactly.
This is what happens when you actually have a competent offensive coordinator.
Are you envious, Lucas?
Look, I don't think. Look, no. Let me be clear. I don't think Bieniemy's a bad offensive coordinator. I just don't think he's as good as advertised when he came to Washington. I don't think he's a terrible one. I think he has some flaws in his games that he needs to work on. But our quarterback is, statistically one of the better ones in the league. So I'm not complaining about that. I'm just saying he has some flaws. And, a little bit more balance would be good for him. But in terms, that was more of a shot at Matt Canada than anybody else.
Okay. All right. Jacksonville Jaguars, who, as of right now, are the number 1 seed in the AFC. I didn't see that one coming.
No, the Ravens are.
Yeah, the Ravens claimed it after they won.
Oh, so are they both 9-3?
Yeah.
No, the Jags are 8-3.
The Chiefs are 9-3. And I also think, they're 8-3, but they didn't catch up because the Ravens have a bye this week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, anyway, the Jags are still a top team in the AFC, and I didn't see that coming either, to be completely honest with you. But anyway, the Jacksonville Jaguars get the victory over the Houston Texans, 24-21. Trevor Lawrence passed for 364 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. And the Bears beat the Vikings 12-10. Another snoozer. But DJ Moore had 11.
Look at the Bears.
DJ Moore had 11 catches for 114 yards. I said last week that was a great trade.
The answer there, guys. If they build a competent team around him, is he the answer?
Who are you talking about?
Justin Fields.
No.
They still got to fix that line.
They're going to draft Caleb Williams number 1.
Yep.
Where does Justin Fields go?
That will be the big question going into the NFL offseason.
He'll be QB2 on Chicago.
No, I think
they're going to trade
it. They're going to trade it.
They're going to get him for draft capital.
Okay.
I think the Giants are an option.
No.
I know you don't want them.
Lucas hates Daniel Jones.
I know.
Okay,
I don't like Daniel Jones.
How about the Falcons get Justin Fields?
The Falcons would be a good option.
Okay, yeah, Falcons would be a good option. I can see that happening.
Trying to think of other teams. What about the Vikings? I know that's interdivision, but
They still like Kirk Cousins.
he tore his Achilles, dude.
Yeah, but he's coming back.
I think they could. I think they would probably go with Dobbs though.
What you were saying, Mel?
I said Aaron Rodgers did too, and now he's back.
Yeah,
4 months.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers is crazy.
Yeah.
That's not.
Yeah, he's
not real. He's not human.
He's maybe not. I'm trying to think of other teams. What about Las Vegas?
fair. But I
That's
like
right,
David O'Connell. I
don't like O'Connell. I don't think he's
like
I don't.
his thing.
No, I don't. think
they would have to give him time.
Yeah.
He just needs time.
Yeah. So let me wrap this up. This was the 10-minute drill.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, like I said, the Bears beat the Vikings 12-10. DJ Moore had 11 catches for 114 yards. Joshua Dobbs fell off from his first game. He had 4 picks in this game, and that was the reason why the Vikings lost.
But you know what? The one touchdown he did have helped me beat Mal's boyfriend.
Ooh,
yeah.
And that's a great segue.
I know.
Now let's talk about our fantasy team, our fantasy league. Let's talk about.
I think we flipped from last week.
Oh, the winners and losers.
Me
and Lucas won this week. Earl and Mal lost.
Yes.
Yeah, we flipped.
Yep. That's okay though.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. I'll start out, Maurice, because I should have lost because I started the wrong running backs this week. If I would have started Isaiah Pacheco and Bijan Robinson, I would have won easily. But because I didn't, I had to rely on T.J. Hawkinson getting a last-minute touchdown from Dobbs in order to beat your boy.
Well, wait a minute. Hey. Did you just forget to start Bijan, or you really started Brian Robinson?
Well, Bijan had been struggling the last couple weeks, so I was just like, let me go with the hot hand because Robinson was hot, and so was Eckler.
But we do have a flex, and you went with Alvin Kamara.
Well, to be fair, Alvin Kamara has always been good for me.
Okay.
Like I said, Robinson was on this weird thing for 2 weeks. So anyway,
if Kyle would have started Trevor Lawrence over Brock Purdy, he would have beat you.
Well, if I would have started Jared Goff over Sam Howell, I probably still would have won.
Fair.
Yeah.
Woulda, coulda, shoulda.
I lost big this week. My running backs and my tight ends really failed me. Saquon only got 5.2, and Breece Hall only got 4.9. And then I had Evan Ingram, who had 4.9, and Njoku, who only had 5.9. This was weak for me.
This was a bad week for you. You got no production nowhere.
Yeah, even if I would have started Tua, he only had 14.4. Lamar had 27.6, so that was the right call. It was just my players were not there for me.
Why don't you use your IR?
Because it's only Daniel Jones and Mark Andrews. I want to pick up people, but there's no one to pick up.
Not at those positions. Well, no, you can get Russell Wilson at quarterback.
I don't need him. I have Tua and Lamar.
Okay.
So, that's not a problem. And I have Evan Ingram and Njoku at tight end, and they're healthy and fine. So, it didn't really matter. It was literally just a production issue this week for me.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, I'll go next. Yeah, my production.
Earl got beat down.
I got beat down.
Got fed a breadstick.
Like I said, you went. I've already had losses, sir.
I know.
I delivered you your breadstick.
I know. I was making a joke. I was joking, Earl.
Oh, Mamma Mia.
No, that's Tommy DeVito.
Oh, that's tough. Let me get to my team.
Go ahead, Earl.
It was my team. Just the production issue. Sometimes it's high, sometimes it's low. I got to try to get it fixed in order to try to at least make a rank to get into the postseason. my running backs just really didn't do much. Even if I started C.J. Stroud, Brandon Cooks, uh, if I started Devontae Turpin, I didn't realize Gerald Everett was playing in this game, so I didn't get him out of IR. It still wouldn't have made a difference. Joe's team pretty much had some home run hitters. He had Josh Allen going for 62.5. He had uh, Kieran Kyron Williams. He had 38. Mike Evans had 25. Nico Collins had 19. Those numbers just added up, and I just couldn't at least get close to it. But it's just a production issue. My tight ends, I got to try to revamp it the best way I can. Jake Ferguson, he only had one reception for 35 yards, but it's just a production issue. Hopefully, it rebounds from that. I got you next week, Maurice.
Yes,
So
you
this week,
do. I think
yep, this week,
Joe. I think Joe had 192. That's the closest
yep,
someone's gotten to 200.
yep,
Now, for me, I came pretty close too. I had 183 against West. West had 132. We put up a good fight. I'll say that.
West
Dak
is
Pres,
officially eliminated from the playoffs, by the way.
yes,
Just want to note that.
yeah, here's an E next to his name. It says eliminated. Dak Prescott gave me 64 points. Christian McCaffrey, 27 points. I mean, pretty much every week he gives you at least one guaranteed touchdown. Something to keep in mind this weekend. Montgomery gave me 16. Devontae 19. It added up for me too. Fairmouth gave me 12. That was a good pickup, by the way. Coming off IR. Yeah, it was a good week for me. 183. Real quick before we move on, let me check the overall standings. Joe is in first place with 93. He's at 93. I'm in second place at 8-4. There's a two-way tie between Earl and Lucas, and third
Hey,
and fourth with 7-5. Now going into, I think we have 2 more weeks left before the playoffs begin. And as of right now, it will be Joe versus Lucas and me versus Earl.
yep.
Classic Eagles Cowboys matchup once again in fantasy.
Yep, wouldn't have it any other way.
Yep. So that's this week in fantasy league.
All right.
Now before
GG's,
we
everyone.
GG's. Before we end, let's talk about the week 13 matchups. This Thursday night, Seahawks, Cowboys. Now
Yep.
Are the Cowboys home or away?
We're home.
It seems like you guys play every week at home. I don't know what's going on.
I said,
Well, we played three. It's more than likely going to be three games that we played in under 15 days because we played on Thanksgiving, having a game Sunday, Thanksgiving, and then another Thursday. They set it up that way. All I know, we start our gauntlet, and I'm ready for the challenge for Dallas. They know what they got to do. Show up, play your game, be the top team at the end of the day, finish the fight.
Now, wait. So no. So after the Seahawks game, you had 10 days off. Do you play the Eagles at home again?
Yep. We had three games home because we played Carolina at Carolina, then came back
Wow.
home to Thanksgiving, then Seahawks, and then Eagles, and then we go on the road to Buffalo and Miami.
Wow. It's a good part of your schedule. Good part of your schedule. But that should be a good matchup, though. Seahawks are coming off a bad loss. I think they're gonna put up a good fight.
They
Dolphins
always
versus,
do against the Cowboys. They always do.
for some reason, the Seahawks play every team in the NFC East really good. I don't know why. Especially if they play them at Seattle, which the Eagles will be at Seattle.
good luck.
Yeah, good luck. Dolphins versus Commanders.
We losing that one.
And I think Tyreek Hill might have at least 150 yards.
Look, I think defensively we're like bottom 4 in passing yards allowed per game. Look, we're gonna get lit up. Hail to the process. There's gonna be
Giants.
another bad team that this pretender beats, and that's cool. but they're still pretenders.
Yeah, yeah.
The Dolphins.
Yeah, they're pretenders. They're not the
They
real deal.
beat the bad teams.
Lucas, I think you should watch the Hard Knocks.
I mean, maybe I will, but like I said, record proves that they can't beat the good teams.
Yeah, that's what the record says.
And one of the football players said, those who are saying that, y'all ain't playing the sport right now.
That's right, I'm not.
True.
That's why we're talking about it.
Yeah, true. Giants have the bye week, a late bye.
Finally.
Yeah. You guys could have used the bye week 5.
Somewhere in the middle.
And so another big game of the week for the Philadelphia Eagles. The 49ers come to Philadelphia in an NFC Championship game rematch. Eagles versus 49ers. This is another one that's been highlighted on the schedule for a long time, and there's been a lot of trash talk on social media from both fan bases. So this is going to mean a lot when it comes to the rankings in the NFC, because this game will determine, I don't know, just between this one and the Cowboys game, this one determine who has the number 1 seed, and that's so important when you go into the playoffs with the number 1 seed. So
yeah, it's only one first round bye too.
Yeah, it's only one. Yeah, it's only one bye. So, and that's the number 1 seed. So this is going to be another tough game. Hopefully, the Eagles don't play a half of good football this time. I think
Maurice, I'll let you. You can go ahead. I have something to let you know about the game.
The Eagles have to play 4 quarters of good to great football to beat the San Francisco 49ers. I will say that. And based off of it, no referee is going to save us. This has to be a great game from our offense and our defense.
I don't know about that defense, man.
Yeah.
I think your offense is going to have to win you this game because their offense, they're healthy. When they're healthy, their offense is near unbeatable when they're healthy.
Yeah, last year a little different. Y'all's defense was really good, but right now, I don't know how I feel about the Philly defense.
But I will say this, if you guys do win this game, I feel a lot more confident about you guys winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think they would have won.
Bowl. Come on.
If they win this, but
no, I'm just saying because
it sound like those media people on TV.
No. All I'm saying is that if they can be a high-powered offense with a bad defense, because the 49ers do. Look, I don't think anybody in the AFC is going to challenge them in the Super Bowl if they get to the Super Bowl. I think it's the Super Bowl for the Eagles to lose, but they have a chance of losing it before they get there. But I think if they get there, they're fine. Does that make sense?
Well, I mean, that's an obvious take, but yeah, it makes sense.
But no. I mean, because I think the teams in the NFC are going to be harder matchups for them. Because I don't think the AFC has a high enough powered offense that will really challenge them in the Super Bowl. I think teams like the Cowboys and the 49ers have better offenses and better defenses that will overall make it harder for them to win versus against an AFC team. Because right now I have the Ravens coming out of the AFC.
A Ravens Super Bowl against any of these 3 NFC East teams would be NFC teams, the Niners, Eagles, or Cowboys would be very entertaining. Yeah. All right. So with that said,
hey Maurice, just to let you know, this game I think it's going to be a low-scoring game because it's supposed to rain.
Ooh, that's a good thing to remember.
Well, I mean, it's raining in the Bills game.
That's true. All right. Real quick, Maurice, tell the people about our new thing that we got going on with our podcast when you do our outro. Our new thing that we just got set up.
Yeah, so we are now on Apple Podcasts. You can search us. Yeah, you can now search us at 13 Rings on Apple Podcasts. And yeah, thank you all so much for listening. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast on Spotify. Make sure to follow us on Twitter or X, Instagram, Facebook, and Threads at 13_Rings Podcast. And we're now on Apple Podcasts at 13 Rings. Thank you all for listening. Until next time, have a good one.
Good night,
See ya.
guys.
Blessings.